Okay. Hello, Henry. How are you?
Hello, I'm good.
We're
How are
we're
you?
live. Yeah, very good. Thanks.
Awesome.
So we just gonna wait like a couple seconds, like always, to have the first person who's gonna join us on the live. I'm just gonna tell the community that we're gonna be able to answer all the questions that were asked from everyone. So that's perfect. Ups. And so we can
Awesome.
also have a look on the chat. So
As always, real community questions.
exactly.
I
So
saw,
the
saw
first
the list. There was good ones. Some were a little bit funky questions, but let's see when we get to those.
and also some questions that were already answered, but yeah.
Oh yeah. That's fine. But it's actually really good to be doing these AMAs quite often. The same questions will pop up sometimes, but that's fine. I think it's worth repeating sometimes. And doing them often also allows us the better ability to kind of react to questions from the community. So that's great.
I agree, 100%.
And a lot has
So,
been happening. Like even though the last AMA was only quite recently, like a lot has happened since then, since we actually had the launch. So
yeah,
yeah, that's good to
we did
dive.
one just before the launch, and
Right.
now there was amazing numbers also that we can talk about. So I can't wait.
Yeah.
Maybe we can just have the first persons on the chat who can maybe just tell us if the sound is okay or not, so we can begin with the questions. So I'm just going to have someone who's listening at this moment, if they can confirm.
All
I think we
good.
can.
Somebody said.
All good.
All good.
Perfect. Awesome. So let's start. So first of all, thank you, Henri Pihkala, the CEO of Streamr, for taking some time with us here to answer the questions of the community. Maybe we can begin because we did an MEA like 1 week before the launch, I guess, something like that, of the
I think
mainnet.
so. Yeah.
It was very exciting because it was a very important moment. Streamr has been working for years for this moment. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about the beginning of the launch. So how went this beginning of the launch? Were there some issues or was it quite okay the first days?
Well, yeah, surprisingly, there was no issues at all. We were kind of expecting there to be. In the test nets that we ran last year, there was a bunch of issues. We did solve them though. So from that point of view, like after testnet 3, we thought that, okay, now everything is quite robust. And those of you who ran nodes in testnet 3 might have noticed that testnet 3 kind of continued existing even after the reward period ended. So it's kind of been in some form live since then. So we also had confidence that things didn't break in between testnet 3 and the Brubeck launch. So that's great. So everything's up and running. The network is now, or the number of nodes that are participating in the staking is now much less than in the test nets, which was very much expected because now the nodes need to stake to earn. So this will reduce the number of nodes, but also makes the game much more fair, since in the test nets it was possible for one person to run any number of nodes really in the test net. So everything went well. There's 1,500 stakers, maybe closing up on 2,000, probably in the near future. 10 million data tokens are staked, which is 1% of the whole supply. Given that the rewards are coming from like a 2% annual supply increase, it means that if there's 1% staked now, it means like 200% APR. And
It's crazy.
with compounding, it's even more. So I think there will be more nodes. It will settle at some point when the interest is not attractive enough for new people to join. But I would think that 200% plus effects of compounding is probably going to still attract more people to join.
I guess 100%. That's for sure. So we have today like 1,500 people nodes staking. So we also have 5, 6, maybe even 700 nodes running without any stake. That means?
Yeah, sure. I mean, there can be nodes that are not participating in staking. They can be application nodes doing whatever. They might be leftovers from testnet 3, whatever. So there's all kind of things starting to happen in the network, and the staking is just a part of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. And I guess this was really the moment that a lot of people were waiting to be able to stake their data tokens. We had a lot of people who were investing in the token and were just keeping it in their wallets. But today now we can really do something with it. So really quite good. We have a lot of people asking in our community about the marketing, of course. I mean, this is something very important. We are also in a very important moment with Streamr. Could you tell us a little bit more about what are the plans for the next weeks, for the next months from here going on?
Yeah, we're actually rebuilding our marketing like pretty much from scratch. We had a change of person in there as well. So we onboarded very recently a new guy called Douglas as our chief marketing officer. And his task is to really go down to like the first principles and rebuild Streamr marketing. I think we've always had the approach of like show, don't tell type of thing. So we want our marketing to be more revolving around like use cases and things that we've built and so on, instead of just creating this hype for the sake of hype, because it's not very sustainable. But of course, we do need to kind of be able to tell the story of Streamr in language that people will understand. So we've been quite focused on developers and technical ways of telling what the project is about. The reason for that is that our users, our builders are technical, of course, so we do need them to understand what it is that we are doing. But in addition to that, it would be great if also others understood what we are doing. So I think one of the tasks of this marketing rebuilding is to improve that message, improve that narrative, make it more understandable, reach new audiences, and so on and so on. So I think we have really good momentum starting on that front, but it takes a bit of time to get the ball rolling. So looking forward to what Douglas and the rest of the team come up with.
Yeah, and I can't wait, to be honest, because it's very important that people can understand what can we also do with a token. And it was quite difficult for people sometimes to understand, like, okay, I would like to participate, but what can I really do with it? So we could explain it, but it's quite technical. So a lot of people couldn't really understand. Today, there's something much more quite user-friendly for crypto people, like staking. Awesome. So there's a first big step. There's other milestones, of course, who's going to come in Tatum later on. But I think this first step is going to be very important to be able to spread the word and to be able to communicate to a new kind of people, communities as well.
Right on. And it's really good to see that there's like supply available. By supply, I mean people who want to run nodes to benefit the network, right? So as a protocol, there's two ends. There's supply and demand. And so supply is the people who run nodes and share their bandwidth to contribute to the data traffic and distribution on the network. And then there's the demand side, who are the builders who are creating applications who need that capacity and the added robustness and security that comes with having more nodes in those stream topologies. So these we need to match, of course. And the supply side has been surprisingly easy to find, and that's all thanks to the community, that there's so many people who are interested in running these nodes. So I think much of our marketing can now focus on building up the demand side, meaning that finding more use cases, finding more builders, enterprise partnerships, that kind of stuff. Everything that kind of brings the need to use the Streamr protocol.
Yeah, exactly, 100%. I would like to just read a message from someone in the chat. So maybe we can have 2 marketing strategies. It's just a thought. I think it's very important, and we will always try to listen to the community. So all the thoughts that you have and all the ideas, of course, just jump on Discord to come talk with us and share your ideas. I think it's always welcome. We really try to read every comment, so really awesome.
And actually, on that marketing topic, like, could have an AMA with Douglas. He's new, so he needs a little bit of time to get up to speed and just know everything in depth. But quite soon, maybe it will be him.
Good idea.
The AMA. Sometimes I hope the community doesn't get the feeling that I'm the two of us are the only ones here. We actually have plenty of really smart people on the team.
There's a lot of amazing people indeed. I think it's a very good idea to be able to show some more faces of the team and to be able to talk like more in details from just, for example, marketing. I agree.
Yeah, we could do. If we do this regularly, it could be Douglas joins, maybe Matthew joins. Yeah, it's very cool.
Perfect. Yeah, exactly.
They may have much better answers than I do.
I will not say better, but maybe other kind of way of spreading the word or like answering some questions as well.
Let's see.
Another vision.
Right.
Okay, so now that the mainnet has launched, I would like to know, and I think at least the community would like to know, is what is the benefits for the builders. So this is very important because it's really them building on top of this. So was this launch very important or not really for them?
Yeah, I think it was super important. Like we discussed before, the main achievement in the Brubeck milestone is really the decentralization of the network. And for most builders, this is a critical thing, especially those who are building in Web3 and crypto space who want to kind of build decentralized applications. So in the previous milestone, everything would depend on us having some services up, because every application would connect to kind of these gateway nodes we had in the Korea network that would then distribute the data and forward it to other applications that are connected. But these don't exist anymore in Brubeck. So anyone can run a node. Every application instance is a node if you're using the kind of light node pattern in there. So there's no back end. There's nothing that we really run to make it work. There are the trackers, which is a bit of a annoying part still. It's like a service that helps nodes discover each other. We're looking into ways to get rid of them as well. But they don't need to be run by us. So we can decentralize that, but it would be even better if we didn't have those. But anyway, that's a bit of a sidetrack. So that's one key thing with the Brubeck launch for builders, like really decentralization, completely trustless, completely like censorship resistant. It's, if I wanted to block some data traffic on the network, I couldn't do it. It's impossible now. So that's very good. And the other aspect is that the integration patterns have become a little bit broader now. So previously you had like a JavaScript client library and a Java client library, and you could pick one of those to interact with the network. And that's very limited. Okay, like much of the stuff is web-based, so the JS client has a lot of reach, and you can also run it on Node.js on the kind of scripts and all kind of stuff. And then on mobile or Android, you can use Java, that kind of stuff. But really, then people come in, they're developing in Rust or Python or some other language, and they're like, okay, how can I integrate with the Streamr protocol? But now it's very easy because you can run a broker node, which wasn't possible before, I repeat. So now you can run a node, and you can have these kind of simple interfaces in front of that node. So the broker node ships with like HTTP interface, WebSocket, and MQTT, which is a popular protocol in the IoT space. And libraries for these protocols exist for every single programming language out there. So whatever you're writing your application in, you can now interface with the Streamr protocol via your own node that you run, and that makes it very accessible for those of you who are not building like JavaScript-based applications. So that's, I think, a really big win as well for many builders.
Yeah, I think it's very important. So it will also give the opportunity to really attract much more builders, because as long as if it's easier also for them to be able to use it, I think it's very important for marketing, for example, because a lot of people sometimes don't come or jump in if they see that there's not everything already in place. So now that we have this, I think it will be much better also to find much more builders as well for the DAO.
Right. And I think maybe third thing I could highlight is the end-to-end encryption. So we had that already before. So already in Korea and the JavaScript and Java clients, you had end-to-end encryption. But not a lot of people used it because you didn't have to use it. So because the network was centralized, the access to data was guarded by basically us, or rules in the centralized nodes, that the nodes just wouldn't let you have some data stream if you don't have access to it. So the data didn't need to be encrypted. But in the Brubeck network, as it's completely decentralized and any data can basically be obtained from the network by any node, it really needs to be encrypted to maintain the confidentiality of the data. So it's now really a must to use this, and I think it's a very good thing. Unless you have a public stream that you want to like have open data that's accessible to everyone, then you don't need to encrypt. But all the other stuff is encrypted, and the library does this by default, so you don't have to think about it. It will check like what permissions you've set on your stream, and if it's public, then it won't encrypt it. But if it's not public, only certain people have access to it, then it will be encrypted automatically. There's this key exchange mechanism that happens automatically under the hood. It's really quite cool.
Awesome. Yeah, really nice. I think, of course, not everyone of the community is involved with these kind of things because they're not builders. They would like to participate, so it's different, but really awesome stuff for the builders. Can't wait to have more and to see the feedback also that we're getting from them as well. For the next important milestones. So this is something very important, the milestones. Everyone is always asking a lot of questions like, okay, now we just launched the mainnets. Okay, what's next? So what is the next big one?
What's next? Yeah, so the next milestone is called Tatum. And what Tatum does is it introduces the full token mechanics and token incentives to the network. So the staking thing that we have in Brubeck is like a very, very lightweight version of what it will be in Tatum. It's a bit like a fake version of that, if you will. It works. It's great for engaging people and having people run nodes and participate in the staking. But in Tatum, it will be much more flexible and also much more decentralized, as it will be based on smart contracts. So what happens in Brubeck basically is that there are special streams that the nodes that are participating in the staking, they join those streams, and then there's like a centralized process that shares the rewards with those who have been online in those special streams. So when we go to Tatum, it will become possible to incentivize any stream, not just these special ones, right? So you can incentivize any stream. Like, I'm willing to pay some tokens for these minor nodes to join that stream. So it will be completely kind of open, this system, and the tokens will go to smart contracts that kind of attribute them to those who are present in those what we call bounties, which is like the incentive smart contract for a stream. And there will also be delegation in Tatum. So if you have tokens but you don't want to run a node, you can kind of lend your tokens to someone who does run a node, and they can stake on those streams and those stream bounties and earn rewards from there, and then do revenue sharing with the delegators. And it will be kind of very configurable. So it's a little bit like you have in LivePeer, for example, that the node runners can set like, okay, the person who runs the node gets 20% and delegators get 80% of the revenue or whatever. So you can have kind of different deals for different nodes, and then the delegators can search for the best deals out there in a way that's similar to the broker nodes will search like, okay, what are the best streams to participate in? So creating this market mechanism, really.
Okay, awesome, really nice. Of course, I think you didn't mention, so it's going to be Q4 2022 Tatum, right?
Hopefully, yeah. Who knows? There's still quite a bit of way to get there. But yeah, I think that would probably be like late this year would be my best guess at the moment. It's not a big leap. I think the leap from Korea to Brubeck was the biggest one on the roadmap, and now that's behind us. So we kind of now have the network that works. It's just missing the incentive layer. So adding the incentive layer on top of that is a much smaller task than building the network itself. So I think we're 80% there, and then just the remaining 20% is the last mile. So it's looking pretty good. But exactly. Who knows? There can be complexity that we don't yet know. When you're doing something that's completely new, no one's ever done it before. So there's going to be like unknown unknowns, right? So in a month, we're going to discover new problems, new questions, and then we need to answer those questions. And this can delay things. But I think we pretty much know what we have to do.
Exactly. I think it also, as you mentioned, so the mainnet was one of the most important launch, but I think it also a little bit depends on like for who. For people who are just here to speculate more on the token and to participate also in the network, I think the Tatum is going to be really awesome also for them. People who can't run a node because it's maybe too technical for them, for example, having delegations later on will really be awesome. So it's going to be something even maybe more important for those kind of people as well. But
really adds utility to the token, which is what we always plan for sure.
Yeah, exactly. So we have a lot of questions still from the community.
All right.
Very small questions sometimes. Maybe it could be answered very fast. But first, we have on our website, we have messages per second as well. Could you just maybe explain what it is and how does it come maybe for the moment that we don't see anything there?
Yeah. So actually now at the moment you can only see it anymore if you select a node in the Network Explorer. But earlier it was also shown on the network, kind of whole network level. But we took it out because it wasn't working. It wasn't showing the correct numbers. And the reason was for that was that so what it attempts to show, this messages per second, is basically messages entering the network. So how many new messages are being published in the network at any given time. But the metrics calculation is happening on the kind of broker layer of the node. It means that messages coming from light nodes are not calculated into that metric. So only only those ones that use the broker node pattern. So if you run an external node and send like HTTP request or something, then it would get counted into that number. So the light nodes don't produce metrics at the moment, and that's why it doesn't really work, because like 99% of all the nodes that are producing data to the network are actually light nodes. So yeah, we'll have to fix that. So that's why it was showing like 0 or quite low number. I think there's probably something like, I don't know, 400, maybe 500 messages per second going to the network. Maybe more, I don't know. We don't have, it's decentralized, so we don't really have visibility to all that's happening in the network. But we try to gather metrics. So there's like a metrics plugin that ships with the broker node that sends some data into these metrics fire hoses, which allows us to get some visibility to what's happening in the network. But like I said, there's a very big piece missing from that information, and that's why we don't really know at the moment. Of course, the network is also new, so there's still many use cases that are still in the Korea network that haven't moved over to the new network.
Exactly, yeah. So it's not going to be, even if there's a number, it's not going to be 100% right at this moment.
No, and it's actually getting more and more hard to show these numbers because of the nature of the decentralization of the network. So someone could just turn off the metrics publishing, which means that those numbers will not be counted at all. So there's no master view to what's happening in the network. Like really nobody knows, but we can show some numbers which are more like opt-in numbers, which are still like
still good.
Yeah.
Always good to have, I think.
Yeah. So, but the numbers that show the number of nodes in the network, as well as the kind of staking metrics, those are correct. But this messages per second and the kind of bandwidth metrics for the network level, they are tricky to compute. And the latency metrics, those have been like total horseshit, like all the time. They were showing like negative numbers and whatnot. There was a bit of a like thought error in that. It's a problem because the clocks on different machines are not in sync. So the publisher says that it's 12 o'clock, and somebody who receives it says that it's 11:59. Then you get negative latency because you subtract one number from another, but they don't agree on what the correct time is. So there's no way that could ever work really in the way that it was implemented. So there is a way to kind of estimate the latency for topologies. So we'll probably revert to using that instead of those local clocks, which is like a totally doomed approach.
Okay, perfect. Thanks for that answer. I think there was a lot of questions on this, so really
yeah. It's not great that you go into tool and then it shows like, okay, your latency is like minus 300,000 milliseconds.
Exactly. Exactly.
But it's quite obvious that it's not correct. So.
Exactly, 100%. But it's also just good to mention.
Yeah.
There's a lot of questions about collaborations. So is there any plans for this? Do we already have people in mind? Can we tease people? Do we already have some names? Or is this more intern for the moment? Could you tell a little bit more about it?
Yeah, I mean, we're always open to collaborating with everyone, but I would say that our main priority is always our builder team. So we want to really actively collaborate with them, and that will need to be the main focus, because we nurture and help out our builders, and this drives forward the whole ecosystem. But then secondarily, I think like collaborations with others in the crypto space, very interesting, because they can add they can really like solve actual use cases. So for example, Helium has been a good source of use cases coming into our ecosystem. And we talked about this actually in the last AMA when somebody asked how is Streamr different from Helium, and it's actually very different. So Helium takes care of the radio connect, the first mile for the data, and then the Streamr network can take it from there once it's on the internet, can be distributed to subscribers. And there's plenty of projects like the demo guys, for example, who are looking into utilizing the combination in a very interesting way, and a couple of others who have come from that ecosystem. So that's great. And we've been talking with a couple of other crypto projects as well around use cases where they would like their protocols and their networks would find value in the Streamr protocol, especially around metrics. So a little bit similar to what I told you, that the Streamr nodes are sending metrics to the Streamr network, and then we can use that to produce some numbers in the Network Explorer, for example. But any protocol could do this. So it's a problem in every decentralized network that nobody really knows what's happening in there without like hard coding some kind of centralized thing there where everybody sends the data, which isn't very secure or scalable or honest even really. So it's better to have the data like really self-sovereign and opt-in, and the Streamr network allows you to do this. So it's a really valid use case for many networks in the crypto space. We have a couple of discussions going on around that one, so I think it's really good collaboration there. Then there's of course always the enterprise sector. We've talked about that quite a lot, and also how our strategy has kind of a little bit changed. 2018, 2019, we're really trying to do some stuff with the enterprise. We got some big name partnerships and so on, and it was fine, but those processes are really slow, and they're not always ready to adopt like the Web3 thinking and decentralized technologies and cryptos, all that comes with it. But this is changing all the time, and I think we'll try to make another push this year to form like meaningful relationships with bigger players. But in between, we decided to focus more on the crypto native use cases and kind of grassroots level builders like Swash and Demo and these guys who built some decentralized games on top of Streamr and chat application and whatnot, like very kind of small use cases but very innovative. And I think where there a lot of value can be had there, because there's such a lot of innovation happening in the crypto space. So it's a very good fit for Streamr. But with Brubeck, I think Streamr is now ready for the enterprise as well. So it's time for another push.
Awesome. Yeah, we can't wait for it. So really nice to hear.
Yeah, I know. But you will have to wait for it, because enterprises don't do anything unless it takes 6 months or 12 months. So exactly. Unfortunately, we all have to wait for it.
It's not a phone call.
No, it's not. It's like when you try to set a meeting with them, they're like, oh yeah, okay, we have a free slot in 2 months. And then you just crazy. Wait for that call. Maybe it only takes like 5 calls or something, but if the interval between those calls is 2 months, then it takes 10 months, the whole process.
Yeah, it's like this today. It's quite normal also. Project outside, so they're trying to work with everyone, integrations and stuff. So it's quite, we see this a lot of places. So we just need time, of course, for this.
Yeah, we have time. It's still early.
Exactly. So I think we can maybe talk a little bit about the security. I think this is very important for people to really understand a little bit more about it. People were asking about their running nodes in their wallets. How is this secured, and how can we be sure it's not going to be hacked? So it's maybe quite technical as well, but could you tell us a little bit more about the security behind running a node from home, and is there any possibility to be hacked, for example?
There's always possibility to be hacked. So I can't I can't guarantee. You could have some virus or malware on your computer that will steal all your files and all your passwords and everything. So who knows? But if you look at it from the kind of security perspective of just the Streamr node, now include like ignoring all the all the malware that you might have on your computer, the only kind of sensitive bit of information there is the private key, which is in the config file. And in the config file, it's even in plain text. So it's not great, but it allows your node to kind of start non-interactively. So it could be encrypted, of course, but then you'd need to like enter a password or something like that when you start your node. So if your node restarts or your machine restarts and you're not there, then it's not going to do anything until you enter that password.
I see.
So yeah, this is something we might implement for sure. But right now it's in plain text in that config file. Don't let anyone access that file. That's the critical point. If someone gets physical access to your machine, like you forget it in a library and then it disappears, or forget it in a cafe or whatever, then they will steal your tokens. So don't leave your machine anywhere, and don't let anyone access your machine either. Yeah, many operating systems nowadays encrypt the disk itself in most cases. So that's also good. Like someone can't just pull out the hard drive from your machine and then read your private key from there.
Yeah. I guess there's a lot of ways that we always have to be careful with private keys, and we always recommend people to put that, for example, on the paper or something more physical, and to be able to, if you're not quite comfortable with computers, I think it's always good to be more physical with stuff, with private keys at least.
Yeah.
But, for example, the encrypted, is this something maybe possible to have like a choice maybe later on?
Yeah.
We can choose encrypted or not.
We just didn't implement it yet, but it's possible to do it. There's no problem. It could be, for example, there's the config wizard. So the config wizard could ask, do you want to encrypt the private key? And if you say yes, then you enter a password. And then we can store it in the config file in encrypted form. But that will make it then kind of the startup process will be interactive. So you will have to be there to start up your node to enter the password. That's sometimes I guess many in the crypto space have already observed that adding more security will mean less usability, right? You have all kind of things like hardware wallets and everything that are very secure and excellent, but you have to pull it out, plug it into your computer, then enter the PIN code and unlock it, and then you can do some transactions. As opposed to like if you just have your keys in MetaMask or something, you can just click around, but it's not as safe. So unfortunately, security and usability are at odds with each other, and everyone will need to find the right balance when it comes to wallets and private keys. But most of the time they are quite easy to keep safe. And also right now the amount of data that you can stake on your node is limited to 10,000. So it's not necessarily like a life devastating amount, even if somebody steals it. So you should never put more at risk than what you can afford to lose, I guess, is one good learning to have in the crypto space.
I can maybe also just add something not very technical, but just to mention that no one of the team, and I'm going to repeat this a lot on Discord, of course, but nobody of the team will never DM someone of the community first and also ask for any private information or stuff. So there's a lot of scams outside. also with this launch of the mainnet, we saw that there was much more scammers at this moment. So just be very careful. If you have any doubt or something, just ask on Discord. We will be able to answer you, but nothing will come ever from the team for private information or anything.
And especially, like, never send your private key to anyone at all. Team member or Santa Claus or whoever asks for it, just don't send it. All of the applications in Web3 are built in a way that they do not require your private key. That's why you have the wallet. You access the private key with the wallet, and you can send transactions, but the private key is never needed by anyone else, but only you. So that's why it's called private. You should keep it private. And it's called key because it unlocks your everything. So it's like the key to your home. You know, don't give it to some random person. They will come and steal your TV. You know, it's not a good idea.
It's exactly like that. So it's always good to mention. I agree. Maybe we can go with, so we talked just before about Tatum. We know there's going to be a lot coming also for Tatum. We have the tokenomics where should be normally coming out for Tatum. Will we have already a little bit more information about it before, or is it really just for the launch of Tatum?
For the token economics of Tatum? Yeah, I mean, that's all pretty much known, and it's already on the website as well. So we don't know like numbers, for example, like how much there's like inflation rate, for example, to incentivize the processes early on or stuff like that. It's something that the DAO will have to decide a little bit closer. But we know the roles that exist in the framework. So there will be sponsors who pay tokens into the streams. Then there's the bounties that hold the tokens that have been paid into streams. Then there's broker nodes, who are the miners, and this is what we have already in Brubeck. And then we have the delegators. So these all work together to create the kind of setup. And the unknown bits at the moment are more kind of implementation and technical things in terms of like validation and that kind of stuff. But I think this is quite well known at the moment, and also at least on a high level also described in on the website and in the docs. So anyone who wants to kind of learn how it's going to work can at least dive into those materials. And if they still have questions, then don't hesitate to reach out and ask for more details, which we might know or might not. If you ask specific question like how many % yield I can earn in Tatum, this we cannot tell because there's a market mechanism of supply and demand. So if there is a lot of supply but little demand, then the rates will be low. But if it's the opposite, then it will be high. So it's, you know, and we cannot know what it will be. Right?
It's the same for now. We don't know the APR, how long it's going to be 200% at this moment and everything. So it really depends on the people,
exactly. It depends on what you guys do, what the rates will be. We just build the protocol, right? And try to kind of find demand and supply for the protocol as well.
Yeah. Awesome. There's an awesome question here. Is there any pros or cons with our proof of stake mechanism when we compare this with other proof of staking, like in other companies?
Yeah. Okay. So this is a weird question. It's a little bit off because Streamr is not like it's not. First of all, it's not a blockchain. Right? It's not a blockchain. It's just a data distribution network. Secondly, there's no consensus algorithm, which we don't need because it's not a blockchain, right? So in proof of stake blockchains, what's happening is something that's very different from what is happening in Streamr. So I wouldn't even call it proof of stake in any way, because it's kind of misleading. Usually this term refers to the type of consensus mechanisms that you have on blockchains. So you're really comparing apples and oranges. What happens on the Streamr network is you put down a stake to guarantee that you're doing a promised work in there. And that work is basically distributing data, or helping to distribute the data in these data streams. And that stake determines your ability to earn rewards. So these concepts are a little bit similar to what happens in proof of stake blockchains. You also stake there to earn some yield and help guarantee the security of the network. But in Streamr, you don't participate in a consensus mechanism like you do on blockchains, and also the type of work that you do is different. And you kind of stake on like on a proof of stake blockchain, like I don't know, Ethereum 2.0 or something. You just go and you just stake. There's kind of like just one place where you can stake, but on Streamr you stake on different streams in Tatum. So you kind of as a miner, you choose, I want to stake on this stream, this stream, and this stream, depending on, for example, if it's a cause that you want to support, like some open data or whatever, or simply the earnings that are available from that stream. You have more choice.
I think it's also maybe good to mention that, and I believe also in Tatum, there will never be any lock for the staking, also with delegations, I believe. So giving like a lock period when you come with your tokens also gives this like, when you don't have to lock your tokens, you have the freedom to leave whenever also you want. And I think this is very important to be able to
mostly have, I think it can be configurable. So what the sponsors want, so what somebody who pays into those streams, what they want is stability. And if the nodes are coming and going all the time, you don't really get stability. So you kind of want the same nodes to stick around for a while. So in the bounty smart contracts, you could maybe define that anyone who joins this stream will need to stay there for a week, for example. And then you can leave whenever you want, but there could be this configurable minimum period. But if you don't want to participate in that, then you don't have to mine that stream. So I think it's good if there's a possibility to kind of give a commitment that I'm here, I want to help your stream, I can stay there for 2 weeks or whatever, and then the agreement is kind of formed, and you know what your node is supposed to be doing, and everything goes right. And then if you leave prematurely, like if you promise I'll stay for 2 weeks and then you leave after 1 week, then the smart contract can slash your stake because you violated your promise.
Exactly, yeah, like a punishment.
Right.
Yeah, it's normal. I think we have this already since so many years now. When we don't respect the contract, there's always something behind. So
right.
I think it's just the same with smart contracts at the end of the day.
We can have like the carrot and the stick. They are both available in this kind of incentive games.
Exactly. Perfect. There's a question here about the traffic with the Brubeck network, when we will begin to see a lot of much more traffic in the network.
Yeah, I think there's going to be more traffic when the use cases that are currently in the Korea network will migrate to the Brubeck network. So right now on Brubeck network, I think there's new builders will start, of course, on the new network. It doesn't make any sense for someone who's new and to start building on Korea, that's for sure. And then there's a bunch of demo streams, that kind of stuff that we publish there. But most of the use cases like Demo and Swash and whatnot, they are still in Korea. So it will take a bit of time for them to migrate. And someday the Korea network will be shut down. So these use cases will have to move over to the new network. New network cannot be shut down like that. By the way,
Exactly.
old one is centralized, so there is a button that can be pressed, but new network doesn't have that button at all.
Exactly. Do we have like an idea about the date for the
Yeah,
shutdown?
what we wrote in some blog post earlier was like end of May, so there's still like 3 months time.
Okay.
And if there's still, we can extend it if there's still people who are like, oh no, I haven't had time to move to Brubeck yet. Then okay, we're not gonna get anyone in trouble with that. But it takes a bit of effort for us to maintain the old network and keep running it. So it's better if we can just kill that and focus on building towards Tatum.
Exactly. Perfect. There was some questions here also in Discord who were talking about some minting. So of course, maybe just to clarify, so we're talking here about Polygon chain, who was now accepted by Binance. So now we can also deposit and withdraw data token, directly from Polygon with Binance. So this is quite cool.
Right.
Really very useful for the mainnet, for staking, to avoid big fees with Ethereum and everything. So very, very good information. But there was, I believe, 5 million data tokens minted from Binance. And people are, I believe, not really understanding exactly how it works with Binance, because it's a centralized exchange, how it works, and if it's not minting just to mint money, if I can say it like that. Could you explain us a little bit more? Maybe again, because it was already explained also on Discord. Sorry, but
I don't know. I didn't expect it to be so hard to understand, but maybe it actually is a little bit hard to understand. So I'll try to explain it. We can even do some whiteboarding if the screen sharing works. I don't know if that makes sense.
With big pleasure.
Okay, let's do it. This will take a bit of time. Is this kind of like the last question on the?
This is going to be the almost last question. After I just have another one about the Airdrop of Union.
Okay, let's go to that question first, and then we can talk about how this bridging thing works.
That question is about the Airdrop of Data Union, if it's going to be introduced soon.
Yeah. So I think I mentioned earlier that the airdrop can only happen after the token launch, and the token launch can only happen after the fundraising, basically. So crypto projects typically go through these phases where they first have like private fundraising. So there's like crypto VCs and that kind of people that you're approaching. And then it might end up with like a public token launch where anyone can contribute to the token sale. And then it launches. So that's when we can start the airdrops, but not sooner. So the project will need to be funded first. Otherwise, it doesn't make any sense. Otherwise, it's kind of useless token because it's not even certain that the project will kind of get the funding that it's looking for. Plus, it will just flood the market with a lot of liquidity if these airdrops are started in advance. So I don't think it's in anyone's advantage to do it yet, really. You don't want it. The project doesn't want it. You may think that you want it, but you really don't. Trust me.
Exactly. Awesome. We will have more information about this. In next weeks, next months as well, coming from DAO as well. We have team is building there. So
the Data Union DAO is now sort of up and running in the sense that we have a team in place. There's Matthew Rossi and Marlene are running it. I'm advising, but quite involved in that one. We're trying to build like a separate team from the Streamr team to push that forward so that it can scale, really. Like, I don't want to be a bottleneck in that one. I'm already such a bottleneck in Streamr, so
No.
I need to empower others to build stuff, and it's going great.
It's going great.
They're talking to VCs and so on right now, so it's going forward. It's really
and we can also mention Emre, also new community manager at the DAO. So really awesome person. So it's really building, and we have, it's going to be awesome the next weeks. I can't wait to see everything.
Yep. It's a young project, but it's not as young as it seems because it's a spin-off from Streamr. So it has, it has technology, it has builders, it's not just a pitch deck and a white paper, right? It has very substantial things in there that are a result of the work that has happened under the Streamr project. So that's great. I think they'll be able to hit the ground running with this one.
I agree. Yeah. Perfect.
Okay. Do you want to dive into the bridging?
That would be awesome. So
okay.
For the persons who didn't hear the question, so he's going to show us, I believe, are you going to maybe open like a Paint or Mirror or something to show us?
I'm going to open my, so this is totally unprepared, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just going to improvise here.
Okay.
I don't know how screen sharing works.
So I can add it. You just have to tell me if you're ready. If you're on the good screen. So
I already clicked something. Okay. Wow. You can see.
Perfect.
Okay. I just have a blank canvas here. So
yeah,
I'm going to explain first how like trustless bridging works from one chain to another. And then I'm going to explain how the Binance bridging works, which is not trustless. It's a centralized exchange. Mm-hmm. So it requires trust in Binance for it to work. And the flow of tokens to the other chain is a little bit different in each case. So let's take a look at how it is. I hope.
Awesome. Very nice.
Okay. So let's do trustless bridge, and then we're going to do trusted or centralized bridge in there. So, okay, we have two chains. I'm going to build like a chain boundary here. Let's say it's this one. Dashed line is great. Okay, and this side is Ethereum mainnet, right? And this other side is some of the other chains. Let's say this is now Polygon because we were talking about that, and that's what the Binance enabled withdrawals for. Right. Okay. So one thing that's very important to understand is that all data tokens are on Ethereum mainnet. That's the native chain of the token, and the whole supply is, like, technically speaking, there always. And I'll
it's not going to be new tokens coming into circulation.
Yeah, no, not at all. So this is, I should really pull the Streamr logo for this, but this is now data token. This here.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so all of the data tokens are really here on the Ethereum mainnet. All of them are there, and they will always continue to be there. So when you have data token on a Polygon, for example, it's like a shadow of this. So it's somehow locked here on the mainnet. So it's like a projection or a mirror or something. You have the same thing here on the other side, and looks the same. And you can. It's always backed by this thing in here, so that when you want to withdraw it to the real data token that's on mainnet, you can kind of take this and redeem this back. But let's see how that actually works. So here's, wow, now it remembers this yellow color. We don't want that. So here's a user wallet. Okay, cool. There's one coin in the user wallet. Amazing. And then in this trustless, there's the same wallet exists in Polygon side, of course. You have your private key, so you have the same address in all chains, in all Ethereum chains, I mean. Okay, so you have a wallet, but there's nothing there in your wallet. On Polygon side, we have this data token here. Then in these trustless bridge systems, you have a smart contract. Let's call it the bridge smart contract for simplicity. And there's a similar one on the other side. So on both chains, you have a bridge smart contract. So when you want to bridge the token over to Polygon, you transfer it to the bridge smart contract. And in case of Polygon, this means the Polygon bridge application, which is in the Polygon wallet web thing that they have. So you transfer it in there, and it stays there. Note this, it stays there, never disappears anywhere. It's just locked in there. And then in between, there is some kind of oracle system. So I'll just write here, oracle. Most of the time, it's like a trustless one or a decentralized one, which is good. And the oracle will see that, okay, now this user moved some tokens into this bridge smart contract. And the oracle will tell about it to this other smart contract over here. And then what happens is that this smart contract will mint tokens to the user's wallet, and that will create the shadow of this data token in the user's wallet. So I think what's important here is this mint. So this happens kind of just in time. It happens as tokens are bridged, not before and not after, but when it actually happens. So if
the transfer,
if this guy moves another token here, then there will be another token minted here. And when you withdraw, so when you remove, if you withdraw from Polygon back to mainnet, what happens is that you kind of do the same in inverse. So you transfer to this bridge contract, and the opposite of mint is burn. So this token is destroyed, and the oracle tells this contract that, okay, now it was destroyed, and unlocks this token from here, right? So the whole supply stayed on the Ethereum mainnet the whole time. You've all the time seen these three circles here, never changed. The thing that changes is how many circles are on the other side. And the important thing here is the smart contract can mint and burn these yellow circles on this other side. Right, okay, that's how it works with the trustless bridges like the Polygon bridge. Now, let's go to the Binance case, which is a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
We have similar elements, but not the same. We don't have a smart contract here, and we don't have an oracle here. What we have is like Binance's wallet in here, and we have also here Binance's wallet. Now, this you can do. You can deposit tokens to Binance, and they will appear on your account in the centralized Binance exchange. So now when you want to withdraw from your Binance account to the Polygon chain, this cannot happen because Binance does not have permission to mint data tokens. So Binance cannot go and give you this yellow thing here. So this is like completely forbidden. This is like no, right? This is bad. Otherwise, Binance could mint like any amount that they want.
Exactly.
And that's not great. No one should have really that power. So we don't have that. So what we can do instead is, so who can mint first of all? So there's like a team multisig that has power to mint. So someone needs to mint because in the beginning, there's no yellow circles here on Polygon at all. It kind of starts from 0. So someone needs to mint. So what we can do is the team multisig can mint some amount of yellow circles here, but they don't go into the user wallet. Sorry, I'll draw it this way. They go into the Binance wallet. So, okay. Now there is a yellow circle here. And this is now a kind of reserve. So this is a buffer. This is an inventory, right? It's not on user balances on Binance. It's just in the Binance wallet. And now when you, as a user, you have this here. Note that this is not yet connected to this one. So this inventory is unbacked. And that's why it's limited in size. So you would put like a small amount there. Now when a user moves it first to Binance on mainnet and has it on their account, then they want to withdraw to Polygon. Well, now Binance has something to send. So they just transfer. This is just a transfer now, because they have this inventory. They transfer this to the user, and at this moment it's backed by this token here, because we know that Binance has one here and there is one here, so it's backed. You can do the same in reverse. You move this to Binance and you withdraw it on the mainnet side, right? You can see how it works, right? But now we can see that the inventory is depleted from here. So I forgot to label this arrow. So this was the mint arrow. Now the inventory is depleted. So now when the next guy comes and deposits to Binance and then they want to withdraw on Polygon side, they cannot. It's out of inventory, right? So then either the team needs to mint more, so we need to add more inventory, which is fine, because these are always kind of these are not circulating or anything. They are just there as buffer. So in here, the minting happened at the time of bridging. Here, the minting happens in advance of bridging. So you have to mint first, and then the Binance wallet can transfer it to the user. And now it's again empty inventory in here.
It's really perfect like this, and to see this with like now visually, it's really totally different. I think for a lot of people, I think here the big cons is the fact that when it's centralized, you never know what could happen with an exchange, of course.
Yeah.
We know that Binance is not a very small exchange. They have huge businesses. I don't believe that for these small amounts, they will take any risk, but it is centralized. So there's...
It is. Always when your tokens are in here or in here, they control it. So, but they have a huge reputation risk. So why would they do something shady when they have a really good business to run, which is completely based on the fact that people trust them? So it's quite safe, but I don't think there's like any chance of fraud or something, misbehavior like that. But centralized exchanges can always get hacked, and there's been many such cases in the past. The most famous is, of course, Mt. Gox back in the day. Mm-hmm. So this can happen. But anyway, that's a different topic for sure.
It's a different topic. But
this is what happens in this centralized bridging, and these both are, you can go via this route or this route. It doesn't matter. The end result is the same. You get these yellow circles in your wallet, but the order in which things happen is that in the centralized version, it has to mint first to have this inventory here so that people can withdraw.
Exactly. I think now the question is for a lot of people is that, if I can give an example, is that tomorrow people would like to leave Polygon for X reason. I don't know. In Tatum, we have multiple chains. We can stake with Binance Smart Chain. We can maybe also stake with other chains, and everyone leaves from Polygon and goes to other chains. Is it possible for the whole total supply of Polygon to be able to be transferred to Binance at that moment? I guess that's the big question, and the answer, I believe, is yes.
Yes, you can, and because all the real tokens are always here. So even if everybody moves their tokens here, then they can always withdraw them here, and that's fine. Then there will be only this buffer existing on Polygon, and if we kind of minted in advance this buffer, if it's seen that okay, the buffer is too large, we don't need such a big buffer, then some of the buffer can be burned. That's the opposite. That's the opposite action there.
Okay. So yeah, sorry, go ahead.
So here we need to kind of manage this inventory, and that's a manual process. I prefer this because no person is involved in this process. It's completely automatic, and the tokens are minted as they are needed on the sidechain. So it's better in that sense, but this is perhaps easier for people to use. A lot of the data tokens in existence are in Binance at the moment, I think 40% or something like that. So having this ability to withdraw onto Polygon, it makes it easier for 40% of data token holders to get their tokens onto Polygon and trade on DEXs or participating in the staking or whatever they want to do. So I think it's really good to have this as well. But like I showed, they work a little bit differently. This centralized bridge always requires trust in Binance or the centralized exchange that holds, at the end of the day, the tokens, as well as a little bit on the team as well, because we have to maintain this inventory pool here. But the size of that is limited, so we don't need to we don't need to have like a huge inventory there just waiting for
nothing.
Yeah, exactly. So we can kind of create it
and just burn the tokens when it's needed.
Yes,
exactly. I think maybe it's also just to
Wow, Anthony, you're breaking up there. I no longer hear you, to be honest.
Okay, sorry.
Yes, now we have sound. Hooray.
I don't know why. I think it took my other camera, but it's bad. It's okay now?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. I was actually saying that it's also good to mention, I think, that the reason why that it was decided to also work with Binance and give them that trust, actually, is the fact that to bridge today from Ethereum to Polygon does cost, I think still today average $50. So to avoid those big fees, to be able to stake with average $750, $800 today on a full running node and paying $50 in fees is quite high. It's big fees. So it's quite better to have $1, $1.50 in transfer fees with Binance and to be able to stake directly. I think this is really the main.
Sure. If you have your tokens already on Binance, then it will be very cheap for you to withdraw them because this transfer here doesn't cost much. It's this transfer here on the mainnet that costs. But if you have your tokens in your wallet on mainnet, then transferring this token, transferring this token to the Binance wallet, that will still cost you like $30 or $20 or whatever. So in that case, it's closer to the cost of using this trustless bridge. But if it's already there, you don't have to do any transactions on mainnet. You can just withdraw to Polygon, and that is very cheap.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay, perfect. Well, the demonstration was really perfect, to be honest, and I can give you some applause because without any
I hope it was useful. People tend to ask this this question, and just by explaining it in text, it's not so easy to explain. So I hope this visual explanation just really clears what's happening there and how it works.
It really did. At least also just for me, I did understand how it was, but just to see it visual now, it's really much better.
Yeah. I don't know how to end this screen sharing, but
I will be able to end it for you.
Okay.
Here you go.
All right. Cheers.
So I believe I have another webcam and maybe even also another sound. So sorry about that. I think I had like some technical issues here.
Oh, we can still see and hear you. It's all right.
But we are at the end, so it's okay.
All right. Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know if there's something else that you would like maybe to add on this, or something that you believe we should maybe just also share with the community that we didn't ask you today.
Oh, well, I didn't prepare any particular thought for this one, but yeah, I'm just glad to be over the milestone launch. It's been like very intensive, as it always is. So yeah, I hope also the team can rest a little bit, and we are moving full speed towards Tatum, and working on our marketing and the ecosystem building. Everything is really looking quite nice at the moment. Of course, the world is in chaos, so maybe that's the thing I want to kind of comment on, that the markets and the war and everything, it's just really tricky situation. So I'm hoping for a quick end to that for sure.
I agree. I think everyone would like to have that very quick end on this, and it's really not a good timing indeed. And yeah, we can do really very much on this, but yeah, we have to go for it and do it best.
Right. We've gone through the pandemic, so we'll get through this as well, and hoping that it doesn't escalate and so on. But whatever happens, we'll continue building and pushing things forward. But I'm sure it's like a distraction for everyone at the moment.
Exactly. Yeah, 100%. But it will be good. I believe also in the next weeks and months, and we will be as much positive as possible for the next. But perfect. Henri, I would like to thank you, first of all, for taking more than an hour today with us to answer all the questions, and it was really awesome. I can't wait to go on Discord and hope to see people are quite happy on the answers.
Cool.
I would like also just very fast to thank the people who are here in the chat today. So thank you very much for this. I see there's a lot of questions also in the chat, but to be honest, most of the questions were answered in the live of this live. So maybe it's good to just go back and look at it again, because we can't just answer them like twice or 3 times every time. But yeah, it's really good questions. Don't hesitate to look again into the live afterwards. It's going to be posted in, I guess, maximum 30 minutes on YouTube. So feel free to have a look. And otherwise, feel free also to join us on Discord. We will be very active there, so you can ask all kind of questions. And yeah, and this last thing, then Henri, I can just wish you a very good evening. Thank you very much again for your time, and we will talk very soon, I hope.
Yeah, thanks a lot, and sorry for going over time, but I think it was good to answer that one question with the visual.
It was the best one, to be honest.
Someone asked on the chat, can we donate a proper microphone to Henri?
I saw. I will do my best. I have actually a microphone here, so I will go donate this to Henri.
Yeah, it's not about the size, it's about how you use it. So, okay, Anthony has a bigger one, I have to admit. But
it's more practical sometimes.
This one is pretty kick-ass as well.
Awesome. But yeah, we will do our best on this, and I will come with a new mic.
Yeah, next time I'll have a huge...
like you can have
like 2 meters big microphone here. So
big one.
Boom. Yeah. Let's see what happens in the next one.
Awesome. Okay,
all right. Cool. Thanks everyone.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Anthony.
Bye. Thanks. Bye-bye.